Welcome back to Beyond the BEO. I'm Shenandoah Nicholson, your host, and I'm really excited to have you here for my first official minisode. I've had a few minisodes in the past, but these ones will be coming out on a regular basis, so check them out every other week. In between the episodes with guests, and I'll be talking about all things events, just quick snippets of trends I'm seeing, events I'm attending, things that I'm loving, things that I'm hating that maybe don't fit into a full length episode with a guest. So excited to have you here for that. So this week I want to talk about incentive events. So of course, when we think incentive events, we think beautiful destinations, week-long trips, and of course those are amazing and love those, love planning those, love working on those, love the excitement that comes with them. But I think that if you're just starting out with an incentive program, or you might not quite have the budget to send folks to beautiful destinations all over the world yet, but you still want to provide your staff with and sales team with a great incentive event, it doesn't mean that you need to get on an airplane. So this came because I went and toured the new Porsche Experience Center in Toronto, which is technically in Pickering, but the Toronto area. And they have great racing experiences, simulators of space to host an event. And it got me thinking about how, yes, it's great for team building, but what if you used that kind of experience that's really exclusive, something that, not everyone's going to pay for every day, really is a kind of special occasion, special event, and use that as your incentive event for your team. So I know that there are other options. There's some places north of the city in Vancouver, there's Sea to Sky that allows you to do a similar type of experience. But if you're in a large city, what types of experiences can you think of that your staff are maybe not going to spend money on or not think to spend money on, but makes for great experiences, great memories that they can share with their friends, they can share with their families, and thinking about ways that you can bring in experiences that are not traveling. So another option would be, you know, an exclusive concert. So is there a concert that it's really hard to get tickets to? Of course, we're all thinking of Taylor Swift, who was here a few years ago, and I was just at the Oasis concert. Like, depending on your demographic, picking a concert that, is kind of a bucket list concert with a premium experience, maybe a premium dinner before if you can't get a box, and really, getting them merch and building up that experience for them that they're not necessarily, maybe they wouldn't have had access to if they were paying for on their own. Um, and also another great option are sporting events. So sporting events have lots of opportunities. So it could be that there are playoff events, depending on how well your city is doing. That might be a bit of a challenge, but you can also, a lot of times with sporting events, organize meet and greets. So let's say you have a box at your hockey game or baseball game. You can often arrange through the organization to have a former player come and do, an autograph signing, do a meet and greet. And again, creating personalized swag that they can bring. So let's say you're taking them to a Jays game, like get them their names on the back of jerseys, making sure that the items that you have are custom and something that, again, that people might not think to spend money on, or is unique and hard to get. Those are the types of things people want. I'm sure that if you're living in a large town, and maybe even if you're not, but what are the unique experiences that are around where you are that don't necessarily need to get on an airplane to enjoy, but are those moments that are really going to connect with your staff? And, some important things to keep in mind when you are planning an incentive event, whether it's traveling or not. think of your demographic. Like, is it the type of crowd that's going to prefer Oasis, or is it the type of crowd that's going to prefer Taylor Swift? And of course, there are overlaps in those, but, thinking about what is the age demographic, what is the gender demographic typically of your attendees to really tailor it to something that they are going to enjoy. And also, anytime that you can allow them to bring a plus one, whether it's a spouse or a family member or a friend. I know that when I used to do a lot of internal events, we used to do some that involved people being allowed to bring their families, and people loved it because they really want to show off their families and they want to show off their work and these cool experiences from their to their families, right? So how can you incorporate their outside world into your incentive events to make them more engaged, make them more excited, give their partners, friends, spouses, families who, might have to deal with them traveling a lot or working a lot, um, you know, kind of giving back to them as well because they're all part of the ecosystem that allow your staff to do what they do and excel and qualify for incentive events. So thinking about, again, incentive events, yes, I'm happy to help you plan, your incentive event to Hawaii or Marrakesh or um, the Bahamas, Italy. Like, obviously, the sky's the limit. But if you're not ready for that yet, don't discount incentive events as something that only big companies can do. It's definitely something that you can do to reward your team, to get them incentivized. I mean, this one is so silly. It was so small at the time, but it was so memorable years ago. Pretty early in my career, I worked for a company and we did a lot of events. And our BDR team was almost their entire job was just getting people to come to events because we knew if they came to the events, we had a higher likelihood of closing them. And they were all, pretty early in their careers, fresh out of school, and kind of off the cuff, our um, head of sales said, if you fill these events, meet these targets by the end of the quarter, I will bring in a lobster lunch. And I don't think anyone really believed him. I didn't really know how he was going to do it. Then I found out that you can actually get your grocery store to steam lobsters for you if you buy them at the grocery store. And I remember the day that he brought in the lobsters and we put out the newspaper and got the crackers and bibs. And for some folks, it was their first time eating lobster. And so showing them how to do it. And again, like that was not a huge budget. And depending on your group, that can be enough to be like a great memory. It can be enough to like, hey, are we going to get that lobster lunch, right? So thinking outside of the airplanes and things like that, again, thinking about what are your staff and your team really going to be incentivized by, and is there a way for you to bring in an amazing experience that they wouldn't otherwise be able to get? So, thank you so much for listening in. I'd love to know your thoughts. Have you done any local incentive events? And what's worked really well? And what are you thinking of doing next? Thanks for listening.